Yeah, I think Donny, I've obviously been involved in the club game a long time. Most of the games that I played in were on a Friday night. The Friday night lights in Belfast were always a brilliant atmosphere. Even in the Champions Cup, when the big teams came to town, the atmosphere was electric before games. Like you could really feel it from the crowd. And for some reason, this international match, speaking to punters before the game, I was doing a dinner before the game, and everybody was excited about getting out of work a couple of hours early, going for a few pints, getting involved in the atmosphere. There seemed to be a good buzz around the city, and then when we got into the stadium, I was running around a few boxes, telling a few terrible gags, and trying to get people laughing because the game and the atmosphere in the opening 20 minutes, it was just so flat. It really was. And I know if it's an epic game and people are up out of their seats, it makes things a lot better for to get the fans going. Um, there didn't seem like, I know it's been banded around World Rugby, that there needs to be almost more fan interaction in some way. I know they've brought in the referee coming out, on the tannoy loud, but that didn't. It only happened a couple of times during the match. And yeah, obviously the match itself was littered with mistakes. Ireland couldn't get going. Just one of those nights. So yeah, like just down below me and the seats that I was in, where it was this band, and like it just kept, like, when a break of play or some boy jumped on a trumpet, it was like like just and then a guy on a drum was like do Ireland, and like I was just like, surely we could maybe generate something better. That's like the olden days at Ravenhill when you had the band in the corner. Like I think when you go away to France, there's a break and play. There's like dance music comes on, and like the tunes are pumping, and like you almost want to make it a really good experience instead of just going and for the people that aren't mad into the rugby. Like there was 50,000 people in that stadium. I'd say probably 25,000 of those people were there for the night out and there for the crack and there and enjoy a good rugby match, and hopefully Ireland win a match. With the other 25,000 are rugby enthusiasts, go to club rugby every single weekend. Don't want anybody talking to them during the game, but it is a game for absolutely everybody, especially youngsters as well. So there needs to be a real enjoyment factor. And anytime you flick on this, the South African rugby channels, you look at the crowd, they're singing, they're dancing, they're having enough pints in their seats, and everybody's loving life. Like, granted, it is usually 30 degrees and there's a swimming pool behind them, not far away. But at the same time, we got to start thinking outside the box. We really do. And I know, speaking to big Jim Hamilton, who works for World Rugby, they are trying to engage more with the fans in certain ways. And they need to keep progressing that, certainly at the Aviva Stadium. So yeah, to answer your question briefly, it wasn't a great atmosphere. It wasn't a great game. To bring that atmosphere up a couple of levels, and it is definitely something that needs to be addressed. But they have an opportunity to do that because we have another Friday night game this weekend. It's weird. I'm not really sure. Like, I'm in a bit of a group WhatsApp chat at the minute, and just chatting about different things, and during the week, and why did Ireland not fire? And I think this is my own personal opinion. Like, I watched Finlay Bealham for Connacht, Bundy Aki for Connacht, Mac Hansen for Connacht this season, and like they're not in form. Like, it's the latter of the two lads haven't played that much this season. They haven't been in form at all. And Finlay, he's just been going okay. He hasn't been pulling up trees. And then you look from an Ulster perspective, Ian Henderson last weekend off the bench, he isn't really in form either. Tom O'Toole, would you say he's in form? No. Rob Herring hasn't played any rugby all season, so you don't even know if he's in form. Then you go to Munster, like Peter O'Mahony, 40 minutes of rugby. Is he in form? Well, in that 40 minutes, he played okay, like, but again, he wasn't running out man by match, deserving to start for Ireland the following week or be involved with Ireland the following week. So it's just felt like, and I could name two or three other players that were involved last week for Ireland against New Zealand that probably haven't been playing that well or to their potential in the URC that we know they're capable of. And I think that was reflected in the performance. There were so many mistakes, and with those players that I've mentioned, plus another couple, like that's coming up to close to half your team that aren't playing really well for the province and haven't hit their straps so far in the season. So, in my own opinion, that's going to be reflective in the performance for Ireland. And I think somebody who Ireland have always relied upon is Bundyaki, and that's probably one of the worst games I've seen him play. And again, I watched him up in Belfast a couple of weeks prior to that, and he was in a similar fashion, a couple of mistakes. He didn't really look like himself, and maybe all this outside noise of him possibly moving to Toulon and a few other bits and pieces. And here he is, he's not playing at the weekend. Maybe that's injury enforced. We're not 100% sure, but yeah, just too many lads that maybe haven't had enough game time so far this season to get themselves into in form that we know they're capable of. We know there's nothing on the line in terms of trophies and in terms of significance, but there are bragging rights. So these are big games. You don't want to start dropping down the world rankings. And yeah, last weekend was a gentle reminder that if you're not on your game and you have a bad day, you can be made to look really ordinary. And I think I was told by a friend of mine on the way up the road, Ryan was just, what do you think of that? And he says, Stevie, it's just all a bit boring, wasn't it? And like, that's exactly, he summed it up. And I said, I'm going to use that all week in the media because that's exactly what it was. It was just all a little bit boring. And that was because of the mistakes, because of the stop-start nature of the game. So you would fully expect Ireland to, with another week together, a kick up the backside as well. A couple of guys have been given opportunities again that maybe didn't show their full worth last week. So it's a game I'm really excited about. However, the opposition, hot off the heels of a 50-point victory against Italy, it seems like a different proposition, doesn't it? Argentina this week than it has done in previous years. I don't feel that Ireland are going to lose this test match. I think the last time Argentina beat them was the 2015 Rugby World Cup when they put them out. I think, if my memory serves me right, but any time at home, Ireland looked like so superior. I think the last time they played at the Aviva, I was sitting pitch side for that game, and like Ireland could have racked up another 20 or 30 points very, very easily. But under Felipe Contepomi, it just does seem like a different side, doesn't it? He's made a number of changes as well in personnel. He's strengthened the squad. It's a team that love to play. Like, they scored 7 tries against Italy last week. A couple of those from counter-attack, turnover ball, running from their own half, throwing offloads, stepping people at high pace. A bit like the Argentina side of 2007, in that Rugby World Cup where they were just a match for anybody. And if they can, hold their own in the scrum, which they were renowned for so many years of being this powerful scrum, and then that sort of went away from them, and they lost that a little bit. But they seem to have got their act together a bit more when it comes to their front row and their set piece. And yeah, Montoya is an unbelievable leader and captain in the front row. And when you have Thomas Albornoz of Benin Treviso, who was man of the match last weekend, directing your team around the pitch really, really well. Then hopefully if it's done it, I really, really, really want Argentina to turn up. Like, I want them to go out there and put in their best performance of the year, just to see where Ireland are after that defeat. Like, I don't want Ireland to go out and blitz an Argentina side that's been sitting in Slattery's pub like for the last 4 days. Like, do you know what I mean? I want to see them absolutely go out and be a brilliant test match of two teams that are pretty much fully loaded, lots of strengths, and see how they get on. And yeah, hopefully it turns out like that, but we'll wait and see. So yeah, Ireland, as you rightly say, Donny, they need a reaction, a big reaction, and some of the big players need to step up.
It hasn't gone really in the way for anybody in Ireland, or I think Wales haven't won this year, England having a terrible time, Scotland lost to South Africa this week, it's their last weekend, so it's been tough going for everybody in the home countries. I'm just curious what you thought about England's, like, they kind of lost another heartbreaker. They're Portuguese having a tough time. It's really not going their way at all since Felix Jones kind of stepped aside. So if Ireland are in a tough spot, England are in a much worse one, it seems.
Yeah, it does. Like, I try not to pay too much attention to it because it can swallow you up big time. You start watching a video about Steve Borthwick. I think it was Andy Goods after the New Zealand game was heavily critical of the substitutions that he made at key times. And again, it was Marcus Smith that he moved fullback at the weekend, who, if he had just stayed out and kept with, he probably would have bundled the Aussie into touch. And there seems to be not a lot of criticism going directly at the players, and more so to Steve Borthwick and his tactical changes throughout the game. But like, if you're going to concede 40 points at home, like, you're not going to win that many test matches. As entertaining as it is, it was a brilliant game, a quality game, lots of cracking tries in it. And England are a really good team to watch, but like, they missed so many tackles. Like the guy Chandler Cunningham South or whatever, in the back row, like, he was unbelievable with ball in hand, but yet he's just missing tackles. And like, their up and in defense was, Henry Slade was coming up and closing the space, and then all of a sudden outside, and the other boy was 20 yards behind him. There's just a little bit of miscommunication. And England, if they get it right, as they showed in Twickenham last year against Ireland, they are a bloody good side. Like, they are a good side. They've got serious athletes. They've got a good squad, bench to come on and make an impact. So yeah, I think it is tough times for England, but I do believe that they've got a squad of players there to go on a healthy run of victories and do a bit of damage to some of the big teams. But yeah, I can't stop smiling because when England lose, like, it's not that I want them to lose. Like, it's just that, there's been so much hype during the week that they had to win against Australia, and then when they lost, I was like, oh, another tough week for England. But yeah, we'll see how they get on over the next few weeks. But yeah, here, let's finish in the point. It was a cracking test match between England and Australia, and some quality operators that hopefully we're going to see in Dublin in a couple of weeks' time that pulled on the Wallabies jersey.